Hi, all. I'm Cullen Haynes, and welcome to Live with Cullen Haynes Law Live, episode 61. I've got a very, very special guest joining me today. I've been a long-time follower of hers, a fellow book fanatic like myself, and has had 12 years in law and 3 years at GeelongPort, and used to be a leading podcast host and lawyer in Texas. And we're having a chat offline about her experience over there. Could you please make very welcome the one and the only Jaclyn Masters? How are you, Jaclyn?
Hi, Cullen. I'm great, thanks. How are you going?
All the better for seeing you and having a chat on our Law Live. Thank you for being part of it.
No, it's great to be here. Thank you.
Pleasure. Now, I would recommend everyone. This is actually happening live. So we're on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Twitch. Please put your comments, questions, queries in the chat boxes, and I'll keep a monitor, and we'll see if we can ask Jaclyn in real time. But the first question there, Jaclyn, what is happening in your circle of influence right now?
Gosh, I'm seeing a lot of people posting really wholesome content about finding not just balance in their lives, but thriving. I've had a lot of connections recently sort of branch out on their own and start their own businesses after leaving big corporate exec roles, both in law. Got a friend doing it in HR as well.
Cool.
People really branching out and doing cool things, doing fractional roles or pivoting like that, which is really awesome to see.
The fractional roles I'm seeing a lot of. I heard of a fractional CFO the other day, fractional marketing. I love the concept. I think it's so novel, especially when those firms starting up maybe don't have enough, work in the initial to justify it. It's good that people exist to be able to fill that hole. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very cool. And I think it, like, from the employee perspective, it's such a good opportunity to upskill really quickly and get experience across markets and industries. So it's very cool to look at from that legal perspective as well.
Definitely, definitely. And I would just to highlight what you do. Obviously you've got your book reviews, which I know you for on the Instagram. But what is it you do in your professional role in a nutshell, so people can have some context to our conversation?
Yeah, so I'm a senior legal counsel at GeelongPort, which is a regional port out in Geelong, as the name would suggest.
Yes.
And my role is a true generalist. So I do all manner of work that comes across through the business. So a lot of governance support, but also just legal advice day to day, more strategic. It's never a dull moment. There's genuinely no day that is ever the same. So it's a very diverse and varied role.
Very, very much so. And I would say that love of reading helps you in your role because it's something you do a lot of, no doubt.
It is. I suspect a lot of lawyers enjoy reading in some regard, but I think it's been really beneficial being able to get across things quickly and get up to speed with things. And I think reading just gives you that general curiosity for things, and you're wanting to follow a story or see something out that way. So I think that kind of curiosity to follow things through as well really helps in a legal role.
No, very much so. And I see Lucilla Chazar said, thanks for the book read you sent me. So appreciate this. There you go. So you've already got some fans and obviously tunes everything you do, so that's good. In terms of, you know, Australia, you were in Texas, you could explain your life, you just filmed titles. How would you do that yourself, Jaclyn?
Oh, explaining my life in film titles. Oh gosh, I'm not sure I could. It is a bit of a crazy adventure. I'm not sure I could do it in film titles.
Maybe a book title. Is it
Maybe a
Pachinko?
book
Or,
title.
I don't know.
Pachinko, gosh, it does feel like a bit of a game of chance sometimes.
Yeah.
Maybe that is probably a good one. I think sometimes you deal the hand you're drawn. But the Texas stuff did feel like a very left field opportunity that came up, but was actually quite a while in the making between my husband and I. But it still draws a lot of attention. Like when we say we lived in Texas, people are like, really?
Really? Yeah. Well,
We
tell
were
us
over
how that
there
happened.
for
How did that come about, that opportunity?
Yeah, so we'd been really keen on just getting some international experience, and Texas came up. We both were working in oil and gas sort of projects at the time, and it came up as a good place that we'd get a lot of really quick experience in that field. And I'd been trying to line up a secondment with the firm I was at the time. We couldn't make that work. And in the background, my husband managed to line up a transfer with his work. So we moved over and were there for about 4 years. So we both sat the Texas bar. So we're both admitted to practice in Texas, which is
Wow.
very cool. I don't think there's many Australians that are admitted in Texas.
No.
Yeah, but I didn't actually practice as a lawyer there in the end. I did a lot of work with setting up an organisation called the Society of Construction Law,
Okay.
and was working to help them set up their American chapter because they're quite well known internationally, particularly in Australia and the UK. So I did a lot of work over there setting up their American arm, and they're going gangbusters now. They've had a huge success, and they're running conferences annually now and all sorts of things. So
Good on you. It's a testament to you, the legacy you've left, huh?
It was a great team. So I think they've just done amazing things with that over there.
Very good. Is it mandatory to like talk with a southern drawl when you're there? Did you end up having one when you came back, or?
Oh, I feel like there's probably twangs and like certain words. But I remember when I was sitting the bar, the one word that was just pronounced differently, even to any other state, was when you're talking about impaneling a jury, there's a Latin word, voir dire, and the Texans
Could you voir dire the jury?
Voir dire. So you had to pronounce it that way, but I thought that was fun.
No, it reminds me of My Cousin Vinny. I'm getting flashbacks to that movie. Oh my goodness. Very good, very good. And I think you've got your drink bottle there, which is good. You're representing.
Yeah.
Here we go. Let's go. Home state. But I'd like to get I guess, what sparked this interest in law and the current work that you're doing now. Love to get that journey. Was it something you wanted to do in primary school, high school? Like, what got you onto this path?
Yeah, I studied legal studies in high school and just loved it. I had a great teacher. I think she made a lot of very practical opportunities open to students. We got we got taken to court and things like that. So it was a very real career path that I don't think any other teacher had really done that for us. So it was a very immediate interest I had from that point.
Great.
And then, after studying it, I sort of honed down that I wanted to do construction law, of all things. Again,
You're a builder.
Virtually. But again, I'd had a lecturer that had just made it really real and brought in people that were practicing in the area. And it was the only subject at uni in my entire undergrad degree that they did that. So, it just shows the impact of those teachers in your life, I think.
No, it's very special. And imagine if you didn't get the chance to do and see those courtrooms and whatnot, would you be on this path now? So I always think about those sliding door moments and things in our past that shape who we are. But I'd love to ask you, if you can be as honest as you want, what do you see as a real need for change in the current industry right now?
Oh gosh, there's so much. I feel like law is ripe for change with all sorts of, AI developments and whatnot. But I think the big one for me that I see, particularly in people I'm mentoring that are still in private practice, is the pressures that come from that, the billable unit as sort of the metric of time and, how you deliver client work. I think that just causes all sorts of problems for, from a recipient of legal services. It's sometimes hard to quantify that value, but from an employee perspective, it puts so much pressure on your mental health to meet these targets within a business. And I think particularly for junior lawyers, there's so much stress that meeting those billable targets can create. So I'd love to, I don't know if it'll happen in my lifetime, but I'd love to see that change. I think it's definitely getting there, but I'd love to see that if it became a more sustainable career for people.
No, it's a good point. I did mention this to a barrister the other day at the New South Wales bar, and they said in their own cynical way, oh yeah, so everyone always says that there should be a fixed fee, but that's just something in-house lawyers say. They don't really understand. So I don't know if that's the attitude of many in the profession, because I'm not in it, but it's certainly an interesting point, and I think I would think people prefer value rather than that. I wonder how much this is going to cost me after all is said and done. I much prefer knowing up front, in my opinion.
Exactly. You think about the outcome rather than just all of the steps to it. Yeah.
That's right. Exactly. And before we get on to a surprising skill of yours, I'd love to ask you, your Instagram name is like 6 minutes for me. What does that actually mean? And I think it's very topical in
Yeah.
this whole
Perhaps
work-life
topical.
balance. Yeah, very
Yeah.
much
So
so.
I've had that handle for gosh, over a decade now. And I had it while I was still working in private practice. And I think for me it was very much a I'm going to reclaim a little bit of this space for me. And this is about, it wasn't necessarily just about books at that point. It was whatever kind of interested me, like travel or whatever it was. But it was really just reclaiming that point in my life for me. And even if it was just one billable unit a day, I was going to claw that back. So yeah, and I've kept it since. I think it kind of is a catchy title for a lawyer. I've had a lot of comments on it from other lawyers. So
I love that.
um,
six
I'm
minutes
glad I
for
got in
me. I
early
think
and
I can just see
got
this
it.
clip blowing up. This is it. Take 6 minutes for you, everyone. Come on.
Yeah, do it.
Is there a time that you take in the day that you find works best? Is it the morning, the afternoon, evening? Like, when is that time for you, Jaclyn?
Yeah, for me, it's definitely the mornings. My husband and I share the daycare drop off and pick up split. So he does the morning drop off, I do the pick up in the evenings. So when he leaves the house with our daughter in the mornings, it's a great time for me to just, even if it's just half an hour, put a podcast or an audiobook on, just take that time because I don't get that in the evenings. It can be a bit chaotic, as I'm sure you're very familiar with.
Two under two. It is it's an asylum. I always say like it's, and the lunatics run it. It's good fun though. It's good fun. I learned somewhere that up until three, kids are forming like 300 connections a second. So
Oh, wow.
it like no wonder it's manic because they're just learning so much.
Yeah, it's a steep learning curve for everyone. Yeah,
Exactly.
mornings are great though because I just feel like I do get that little window of like me time.
I love that. I think that's fantastic. And it's probably a nice little gear shift in terms of your own life. What's a surprising skill that has helped you on your legal career and your social media career? Because we'll get into your podcast a little bit later. But yeah, what's a surprising skill that's helped
Yeah.
you?
I think that curiosity for storytelling, like in a very literal sense, like I just think I will read anything for reference. I'll read fiction, non-fiction, memoir, poetry, anything. And I think that's really stood me in good stead with work because I just can pick up anything and have an interest in following whatever it is that the business needs me to look into. And in a practical sense, I think actually being an early adopter of social media, I think was really helpful. Like I remember when I was in private practice, there wasn't many lawyers that were posting things on LinkedIn or sharing content in that way. And I know a lot of your other guests have shared this comment as well. I don't think what I'm doing is novel by today's measures, but I think back then it was very different to be a private practice lawyer posting LinkedIn content.
Other than the articles and the Lawyers Weekly I1 posts that I see, no doubt the
Yeah,
management is writing on behalf of their employees. I like to see more of the people that is coming out. So yeah, I
yeah.
think we're going through a bit of a renaissance in terms of LinkedIn is LinkedIn, Facebook is Facebook. I think those zealots are quietening, and I think people are showing more of themselves, which I think is a fantastic thing.
Yeah, I love that authenticity. I think LinkedIn's becoming a very real place, and it's not just the humble brags and the awards posts, which, are lovely for people that do them. But I think I like that authentic, like what's happening day to day, what's driving you, what are you interested in, what are you reading? I love all that.
What are you reading? What are you doing? Like, because it's surprising. Like, you post a photo of you at your roller hockey. There'll be three other people that go, "Oh, I didn't know you did roller hockey. Let's meet up. Let's have a chat." Like, put yourself out there, and
Exactly.
people, you might not get business out of it immediately, but there might be opportunities for you out there in the future. So, yeah, highly recommend that. And in terms of your other social media journey, not many people know, but they will know now. You used to be obviously a very, very well followed podcast host. I'd love to know the name of the show, how you got onto it, what the topic was, and can people still listen to it?
Yeah, so it was a podcast called The Reading Women, and it was running for a few years before I was invited to be a co-host. I haven't been part of it for a few years now, but when we lived over in Texas, yeah, I was a co-host, so I was on every like second month or so. I loved it. It was all about obviously reading. We'd have different themes each month between the co-hosts, and we'd have like a discussion book. So it was very much like a virtual book club. People could follow along. We'd make it known what we were discussing in the next episode, and people could follow along. There were author interviews. So there was something I did over on Instagram that I think is still on that account as
That's
well.
so cool.
So it's very cringe because it's from like 5 years ago now. So, but yeah, it's all still online if anyone wants to check it out.
Please do. I've put it down here. The Reading Women podcast. Look it up and show Jaclyn some love. And yeah, let us know your thoughts on it. We'd love to hear it. And thanks for anyone either tuning in now or rewatching. We've got Jaclyn Masters, lawyer at GeelongPort, and bibliophile to the max in terms of the book she reads. We have a few more questions that we'll unwrap now. How do you unwind after a particularly tough day? I know it gets manic when you get home, Jaclyn, but like, what's your way to unwind? Is it an audiobook in the evening? Is it meditation? Is it a walk outside? Yeah, you got so many things vying for your attention. What is it for you?
Yeah. Well, assuming that the whole evening routine with my toddler has concluded, because I love reading with her as well. But once that's done, yeah, I love having like a cup of tea or a margarita or whatever it might be, and just sitting down with an audiobook or watching TV, just very much just decompressing after a day.
Fantastic. That's nice. I think we can all. I'm feeling relaxed hearing that now. There you go.
Yeah.
There's no cup of tea big enough for me. That's for sure. So that's interesting. Any passion projects that you be open to sharing with us all?
Yeah. Well, one I'm doing next month, I'm actually giving my first panel talk at a in-house lawyer conference. So I'm on a panel
Fantastic.
talking about how to thrive in your in-house career for the Association of Corporate Counsel national conference. So I'm on
That's
a panel
fantastic.
with a
So
couple other people.
we're
And oops, sorry, you go.
no, I was gonna say, where is that being hosted? Where can people find you if anyone wants to join who is a member of the ACC?
Yeah, so that tickets are still on sale. That's happening early November, and you can just find that on the Association of Corporate Counsel Australia website.
Perfect.
It's being held in Melbourne.
We love Melbourne, trendy Melbourne. So early November, get on there. Please buy tickets. And is there a topic for the panel or anything you'll be discussing in particular?
Yeah, so the panel topic is how to thrive in your legal career. So
That's a good one.
And finding purpose in your career as well. So a lot of discussion around like value alignment and finding those sort of broader connections with what you're doing.
How to thrive and find purpose. That is so good. And do you find that there's not enough of that in the industry that you learn at uni and in work? Like, it's not really told those kind of things. It's more, I know everyone probably puts it in a box. Oh, that's touchy feely stuff. Find your purpose and stuff. But I find it very important. Like, how do you know what to do every day if you don't know what your purpose is, either professionally or personally?
Yeah, I definitely don't think it was taught at uni at all. And I think it was definitely not something that I was necessarily encouraged to do early in my career.
No.
I think it's like having moved in-house, I think there's definitely more of that because you're discussing that with your connection with like company values and things like that. So I think there's definitely, I see more of that discussion now. But I love it too. I'm like you. I don't think that there's enough of it. I'd love to see more, but I see a lot of it on. Like, I think I've found a good community of people that I follow on social media, and I think there's a good cadence of what I see posted anyway.
Very good, very good. And we talked about something you'd like to see change in a few previous questions, but looking into the future, what would you like to see change in the legal profession, perhaps in the next 10 years?
Oh, very selfishly from an in-house perspective, I'd love to see more opportunities for students to start their legal careers in-house. I think there's definitely been a huge shift from when I graduated and from what I see now available. But I think there's such a big room for growth for companies to make positions available and for teams to expand to really take on that training and to get more law students involved.
Makes sense. Okay, that's good. More students early on giving being mentored and whatnot. I think that's a great change that could be happening. And this is a good funny one. What is the most unusual client request, if you can tell us, that you've ever received in your career that's quite notable?
Oh gosh. I'm not sure about unusual requests because it was just like a contract at the end of the day, but I think I get to see some quite cool like partnerships that like our business does, and I sit within our corporate affairs team, and I still remember like pinching myself when this contract came through. It was for we were partnering with an organization that was doing some like monitoring and research on some endangered dolphins in the Corio Bay region. And I just remember thinking, like, you could not have told me at law school that I'd be getting to write contracts for like dolphins, effectively, or
Isn't that
dolphin
pretty
projects.
amazing?
That's very cool. But yeah, that was a real like that stood me in my tracks, and I thought that's very cool. You get to do this sort of stuff.
Very, very cool. I love that. And in your life, has there been a particular mentor for you or someone that you can say, that person steered me in this direction, or that you want to perhaps shout out on the show now?
Oh, yeah, like I'm really lucky. I've had some great mentors over the years, but I think moving in-house was such a big shift for me, and I think I was really lucky to start under a GC that, um, really valued making sure I had all those foundational educational pieces that made private practice, the move from private practice so different to coming in-house, and really set me on courses and, really took me under her wing. And she just was such a good sponsor for me within the business as well. And she's become a really good friend since we don't work together anymore. But yeah, I just think having someone that meets you at that point in your life and it's the right time, it's just such an alignment of so many things. But yeah, working with her was such a like pivotal point in my career, I think.
Oh, amazing, amazing. Props to her and the mentor in your life. In terms of any books you're reading right now, what can you tell us is on your bedside table that you're welcome to share with us?
Oh gosh. Well, I'm a bit strange in that I like to read a few things at once. So I'm not sure if you're like that, Colin. I know you
All
read
the
a lot,
time.
but you
All
like
the
reading
time.
multiple things? Okay.
Yes.
So I'm reading for fiction. I'm reading a book called Red, White, and Royal Blue, which has since been adapted
Ooh.
for Netflix, I think. It's a romance between a fictional first son of the American president and the prince of the United Kingdom. So that's, yeah, it's a very light book, but it's been a lovely story. Nearly finished that. And then the other one I'm reading is I'm a big history buff as well, so I love reading history stuff. And I'm reading a book called The Black Women's History of the United States. And it's
Mm.
looking at all those like untold stories or forgotten histories or things that have been written out. And that's just fascinating. So super different subject matter, but I love that kind of difference for my brain.
Oh, definitely. There's a book that I'm slowly churning through. It's called The Thousand Books You Should Read Before You Die. And that gets me onto
Oh,
some reads that I never would have, like Things Can Change, which is about the English colonization of Nigeria, which I never knew about. It
wow.
talks about the Whitney plant. One of the other books is like talking about the Whitney plantation in the South. And
Oh, yeah, Louisiana, yeah.
yeah, in Louisiana, the horrible things that went there. So I would highly suggest that, like yourself, read widely and don't just box yourself into,
Yeah,
I like self development like anyone else, but there's only so many books you can read, like Jordan Peterson, Atomic Habits. Those books have their place, but
yeah.
a good fiction and a different left of center non-fiction is definitely a good way to open your worldview, I'd say.
Yeah, and I know we were talking off air about audiobooks, but I love listening to that sort of development content, via audiobook as well. Just feels like putting a podcast in. It's very easily digestible.
Very good. Yeah, and we were talking about Green Lights. Done it, the
Uh,
book, but done the audio version, and that Southern, all right, is so much better when you listen to it. I feel like I take more information in with audiobooks, but
oh,
maybe we
it's
can
like a
put.
whole experience.
It is. It is. I wonder if there's we should do a poll. Maybe is audiobook, is it cheating? Is it real reading? Who knows? Let's put it out there. But any lessons you'd like to impart on young professionals, either in law, accounting, or otherwise, tuning in right now there, Jaclyn?
Oh, I think my big one would just be give every opportunity a go. I see so many incredible law students through either our intern program that we run at the port with Monash Uni, or through mentoring that I'm doing. And I think the big takeaway I have is that the future's in really good hands. Like, I think students that I'm seeing anyway are just so motivated. They're go-getters. They're looking for career paths that don't even exist yet, probably half the time. And they're just really open to what else is next in their career. And I think it's such a good perspective. I learn a lot from listening to them. So I definitely think that learning goes both ways.
No, I think so. Being the student and the teacher at different times, which is what all you can ask for in the school of life, right?
Yeah.
Very good. And where can people find you before we move off and then back on for some bonus questions? Where are you hanging out the most, Jaclyn?
Oh, probably LinkedIn and Instagram.
Yes.
So LinkedIn, I'm obviously just my name, and Instagram, our handle is 6 minutes for me.
Fantastic. Be sure to connect with Jaclyn. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you for the main chat on our episode 61. Jaclyn, thank you so much for donating your time. I know you're a busy person. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Colin. Thank you.
It's an absolute pleasure. We'll bring you back on in just a moment. And if you are a legend of law or know someone who wants to be on the Live with Cullen Haynes Law Live segment, please get in touch. We come out every Wednesday. I think we're booked out until February 2025, taking spots for March onwards. So get in touch. You can listen to us on YouTube, Amazon, and I believe, obviously, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you so much for listening. All the best. Bye for now, everyone. Take care. Bringing you back, Jaclyn, got some bonus questions I'd love to ask. When all is said and done, how would you like to be remembered one day?
Oh, gosh. I'm blanking on the quote, but there is a famous quote along the lines of, people will forget what you say, but they'll remember how you made them feel.
Maya Angelou. Very good.
There you go. And I love that. I think I'd love people to walk away from, whether we're working together or whatever it might be, and remember that I made them feel seen, or whatever it might be. But I'd love to have that impact.
Well, you are already having an impact right here. Anna Diarcy's saying, fantastic, Jaclyn Masters. Thank you, Anna, for that comment.
Thanks,
That's
Anna.
really nice. Very nice. How would your toddler describe you, or your pet, if you have one? If I was to ask you, how would they give you, what description would they give you, Jaclyn?
Well, she's not using too many words just yet, but I'd like to think I was fun. I think we laugh a lot, and there's a lot of very playful times with her. So hopefully she'd say fun.
Oh, definitely. Well, I think that's what this podcast has been. It's highlighting that very nature of you, Jaclyn. Really appreciate having the chance to speak to you. And I think it's a nice little chance to wrap up. So thank you so much for your time, everyone. Have a great Wednesday.
Thanks, everyone.
All the best, everyone. Take care.